Welcome to Amelia Baptist Podcast, where we discuss church life, theological questions, and cultural influences. Our podcasts are available via Google, Spotify, Apple, and many other podcast platforms. We hope you subscribe and enjoy today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Roundtable number 3. This is Dylan Whitaker standing in for Adam today. Normally, we would have video along with this audio, but today we're doing a little bit different, just having audio version of our roundtable due to some technical issues that we had earlier this week. So, we are coming to you here from Pastor Neil's office. We've been working through some parts in our church here on eldership and leadership, and we've done some episodes in a roundtable leading up to this. And this last Wednesday evening, we had a great congregational meeting where we came together as a congregation, and our elders actually talked to us about plurality of leaders there. So with me today is Pastor Neil, and he is going to talk with us about some of the things that happened at this last Wednesday meeting here. So, Pastor Neil, tell us about Wednesday night.
First of all, Dylan, it's good for us to be together. I am so sorry for those technical difficulties. But as some people say, I have a face for radio.
Well, you're getting to use it today. So
yeah, that's great. Wednesday night was a great evening for us in the life of our church. As many of our listeners may know, back in November, on the 11th, specifically at a congregational meeting, I made a request of the church. I feel a deep leading for the Lord to change and adjust some of my ministries from a more visible view to more personal ministries, such as discipleship and personal caregiving, pastoral care. Looking at my birthday, it's going to be coming up in June at 70 years old, and having been here for 30 years, I've been asking the Lord, how do I assess what my greatest value is as we move forward in our church? So I asked the church to pray with me about a less than full-time job in focusing on pastoral care, mentoring, and discipling others. So the congregation was a little stunned, I think, in November. But but we got through Thanksgiving, and we got through Christmas holidays, and we got through New Year's. And so during that time, the congregation asked the elders to look at some specific tasks in following up my request.
Yeah.
And so Wednesday night was the follow-up by the elders to the congregation on how do we move forward in looking at leadership continuity.
Right.
In the life of our church.
And I think it's important for us to let our listeners know that, what we're attempting to do here is in many ways new to a lot of churches. And so it's not like we are doing this with a great, history and guideline of how this is working. This is based off of seeking the Lord, you seeking the Lord, the elders seeking the Lord. And I think it's important also for people to know that you're not looking to disappear from the life of the church. In fact, what your request was back in November was in order to just change the way you were pastoring here and allow you to actually get into a different area there. So.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So anyway, this past Wednesday was just an opportunity for the elders to say, this is where we are. And what we have here is an opportunity to expand. We've been teaching in our congregation for a number of years the plurality of leadership. Then 11 years ago, we felt led to go into eldership And so that's a plurality of elders and spiritual leaders in the church. Adam has been with us for a little over 6 years, going on 7 years. And he has really proved himself to be not simply an associate pastor, not just part of the team, but a real pastor. And I believe this is no accident. God has planned it this way. And then at the same time, asking myself and the church, what is my best value? And that would be in pastoral care for the older part of our congregation, and then an integral part of mentoring and discipling future leaders in our church. So that's what we did. We shared that from the very beginning. Now, there were a few things that we needed to kind of clarify. Number one, was I leaving? The answer is no. Am I becoming less than a pastor? The answer is no. Is Adam really becoming more of a pastor? Well, he's growing as a pastor, but he has been a pastor in this church for just a number of years, right, and has proven that. And our congregation recognizes that. And so that leads into what the spirit of the congregational meeting was like. It was really wonderful. It was positive. It was forward-looking. Mm-hmm. Our congregation has caught the vision that this is a necessary transition in order for there to be continuity from this generation to the next generation.
Yeah, and we're living in a new time in history. I think a lot of us thought that, if we could just get through 2020, 2021, we might see an end of, all of the issues that we had seen in 2020 and move on from there. And you and Adam were actually at a Florida Baptist convention leading up to this meeting here. And one of the things that you told me coming back was that one of the points was we need to stop saying, well, it's going to return back to normal. And with that in mind, and the understanding that, the way, pastoring, your role as pastors hasn't changed, how you're going about it has, and it's had to because of, our current inability for a lot of people to be here on Sunday morning. And going forward. And I think I know Mr. Mike Baxter brought that up, one of our elders, on Wednesday, and the fact that you're still pastoring those people at home. And actually the role that you're looking to move into makes it easier for you to be able to do that kind of pastoring there.
Yes, and I'm actually looking forward to it. Both Adam and I love preaching. Mm-hmm. And as I told the congregation Wednesday, when the question was asked, are we still going to divide the preaching, or will Adam be taking more of the preaching? It's not that I want to give up preaching as much as Adam and I want to offer on Sunday mornings a really good quality exposition of the scriptures and application and a sermon. And that really takes time. So the fact that I believe God is transitioning me into more personal areas of ministry is going to take time. So Adam is going to, throughout this year, going to be taking more of the pulpit responsibilities while I take more individual, personal, and group mentoring and teaching. Here's one of the interesting things about moving forward is that we always want to be above board on how we do things. So we're not only communicating to the congregation, but we also address the fact that our Constitution, in all of its areas, refers to only the pastor in a singular personal noun. So what we're going to be doing, and I'll be reading the motion in just a few minutes, is expanding from the idea of a singular pastor to the possibility of more than just one pastor. So I'll be reading this in a moment, but the idea is to give the church actual flexibility throughout the coming years. Yeah. Is there a need for just one pastor at a time, or perhaps having two pastors at a time?
Yeah, and explain real quick for us the concept and idea of a congregationally led church, and what that means in a constitution, and how that affects how we govern ourselves and lead here.
Yeah, that really is an important question. Several weeks ago, I was preaching at our elder ordination of your dad, Brett Whitaker. And the topic of the message that day had to do with Jesus is the head of the church. And so during the sermon, I talked about that there's the Presbyterian form of government, there's the Episcopal form of government, and then there's also congregational form of government. And this was not a slight to any other type of form of government, but Jesus has to be the head of the church no matter what type of organizational structure there is. So we are a congregational church. We are an autonomous church. We own our own property. We call our own pastors. We make our own decisions. And there's no hierarchy over us, whether it is an Episcopal hierarchy or a Presbyterian type of hierarchy. And so as elders, we are not the legal arm of the church. We don't make a declaration and say this is the way it is. We spend time in prayer. We talk to others in our church. And when we come forth with a motion or a recommendation, we recognize that it's the body's opportunity to say yay or nay. And so the motion that we're going to be looking at in the next month, we'll be having a special, another regular congregational meeting on March the 17th. And that's when the congregation will vote on the recommendation that I'm about to read. So here is the motion, and there was discussion. But as our Constitution instructs us, there needs to be one meeting in which it is read and given to the congregation, and it will be given to the congregation through several forms. This is one way that we're doing it through this podcast. And then there will be time for a vote at another meeting. The Council of Elders moves that the church constitution adopted in April 2014 be amended to allow, at the discretion of the congregation, for a plurality of pastors by replacing all necessary references to pastor singular to pastors with the S in parenthesis. The Council of Elders further moves that upon adoption of this amendment, the word, quote unquote, associate be removed from Adam Page's title. So wherever the word pastor singular is in the Constitution, there will be added a parenthesis S, so that gives the church flexibility in the future to have one or more pastors, and that since we sense that God is calling and has called Adam to be one of those pastors, then we will also in March be eliminating the word associate from his title.
Yeah, and this goes back to the idea of plurality of leadership and pastors that we've been talking about over and over the last few months. And the idea that, the two of you working together in pastoring this church, along with the elders who are also shepherds, and so we have this group of accountability working together to pastor this church, and the idea that because of that, this church is more blessed and able to function because there's multiple perspectives and multiple skills. Like you said, Adam connects in different ways that you're unable to, and then you have an insight that he might not have. And so the working together there.
That's right. Not only do we work together, we work under the umbrella of eldership. Mm-hmm. So Adam and I consider ourselves at equal footing, not only with each other, but with also the elders. because each one of these elders that God calls, who are Spirit-led and have a heart of a pastor, because we consider elders a part of the pastoral ministry leaders of the church. Someone asked, well, who's the leader? Others have said, well, Neil, you're the first among equals. Well, I might be the first among equals in one area of the conversation or in the ministry, but these men have skills and experiences and a passion in areas that I'm weaker in. And so actually, when it comes to those areas of leadership, then they might be the first among equals. So it really is a mutual submission to one another. We put our relationship and love for each other above any personal agenda. And this is consistent with really the way our church has made decisions in the past for the 30 years that I've been here. Yeah. And so this is just a continuation.
It's bringing the Constitution up to speed with what our church has been.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Years.
Russ Hughes did a great job in voicing that we're really bringing the Constitution in compliance with the way that the Lord is leading already in our church.
Yeah. And one of the elders, I can't remember which one on Wednesday night, did talk about the fellowship that y'all have in the Council of Elders. And, that if somebody doesn't feel that God is leading in a specific way, everybody's going to stop and everybody's going to listen and everybody's going to pray through it because there is that important aspect of that fellowship there.
We listen to one another, and if we're still not there, then we table. Now, is this an effective, efficient way to run an organization? Probably not, but it's a biblical way.
Yeah,
because the unity of the body, being of one mind and one heart, is more important than simply getting this task done or that task done. The way that we do it is every bit as important as getting it done. There's an old saying that the end does not justify the means. Mm-hmm. Here's the rest of that: because the means determines the end.
Right. There was some discussion after that motion was read, a lot of good questions, a lot of thoughts that were given. And basically, the elder council said, well, we wanted to give an update and a report of where we are, but there's more coming. Can you tell us where we go now from here as the elder council?
Great question. Some of the unknowns at this point is related to that if I'm shifting in some of my responsibilities, and by the way, the personnel committee and the stewardship are both working with the elders on this. Mm-hmm. In fact, we had a personnel committee meeting last night. So some of my roles are going to change, responsibilities. Some of Adam's are going to change. In fact, there's going to be a larger sense of responsibility on Adam's shoulders. Probably Adam may have to let go of a few things, or he's going to need additional help in some of those areas that he was tasked with when he first came here. So that's going to be a personnel and an elder and stewardship conversation in concert with one another on how that's going to work. So we're really excited about that, but we don't know what that means yet. And that's okay that we don't know what that means, because we're going to listen to the congregation. We're going to listen to our other leaders, and we're going to listen to the Lord most of all. But in the end, it will be the congregation's decision, and we will be in harmony when we come to that road, when we have to make that decision.
Yes, and that's great, and I think it's valuable that the elders are seeking God on this and then bringing it to the congregation there. So that was kind of the gist of the meeting there. I thought it was a great spirit of fellowship among us. I feel like, we've seen for a long time that you and Adam as our pastors. And so I think that, not much is going to change from a day-to-day, standpoint. There's going to be some shifting of responsibilities, but I think overall, we're going to continue to see the same level of fellowship, same level of pastoral care that we've seen, up until this point. And, I'm excited to see that. There's been, your heart has always been in teaching, and that more one-on-one, as much as you have enjoyed and loved preaching and pastoring. And I've seen that, when I asked you to come out to Texas to teach, and you got to be one-on-one with guys and really dig into their hearts. And then, a couple weeks ago, I had a bunch of friends in town that I knew from college, and we were able to sit down and just dig into a lot of issues.
We had a blast.
Yeah,
didn't we
had a blast, and really talk about the issues that are affecting people's lives nowadays. I mean, this is a hard time of life to be in right now, with everything going on in our culture and our society. So.
Well, I get a sense from the congregation that most of those involved and who were there Wednesday night, both in person and then on Zoom, they've caught the vision of what the possibilities are, and they've embraced it. And we look forward to how God is going to use some of these responsibility shifts, but Adam and I are still pastors here along with the elders.
Yes.
And so unless God takes me away, like permanently, I have no plans, and is not in my thoughts to go anywhere else.
So you're basically saying you're still open and welcoming people to call you, to contact you, to grab you in the hallway on Sunday morning.
I hope that they hear that.
Yes.
They know that that's part of the reason for this very shift,
Yeah.
is to make myself more accessible.
Yeah.
Even though my structured time may be less in the office, the unstructured time of personal ministry is going to be something that I value very much.
Well, thank you, Pastor Neil. This has been, I think, a great discussion. And I appreciate you. I appreciate Adam. I appreciate our Council of Elders here, and the work that's being done here, and just seeing God continue to grow our congregation as we seek him, and seek to follow his word in everything we do there.
Well, thank you, Dylan. And I'm so glad that we could just sit down and have this conversation. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. And for those of you listening online, you can always grab our podcasts and our roundtables on Facebook, YouTube, and then many podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google. Hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and we look forward to you tuning in next week.